5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
Man. So Will Wade was introduced today as NC State's head coach. My brother was at a luncheon where Derek Wittenberg was speaking. And, of course, you know, Wittenberg was asked about NIL and all of that portal. Wittenberg was on the 83 team. I think the 83 team was suing, trying to get some NIL. And anyway, everybody, you know, always asked Derek Wittenberg, was it a pass or a shot? For, you know, the play against Houston where it was dunked and State won the championship. So, you know, my brother was asking me a couple questions. I said, well, you ought to ask him about Will Wade. You said, you know, Will Wade's got a little bit of a checkered past. And Pilk, this is a great answer from Wittenberg. He said, we're not hiring him to preach on Sundays.
There you go.
There you go. That's a good answer.
That is. I like it.
That's a good answer. Not hiring him to preach on Sundays. We've got coming up in a little bit the one and only. Oh, excuse me, and I mean that with a lot of endearment. The great Brett Friedlander will be with us from Saturdays Down South. We'll ask about the Will Wade hiring. Did you get the audio from Rothstein that I emailed you?
I did, and it is ready now.
Did you get it down, or do we have the whole?
Oh, I went ahead and did the whole thing. I wasn't sure. I was a little pushed for
Okay.
time today. I apologize.
All right. Well, let's play that really quick here, because this is obviously John Rothstein, who reports for CBS and CBS Sports, talking about Will Wade, and he believes that this is a home run hire.
I don't think if you're an NC State fan, there has been a more exciting time to be a fan of the Wolfpack. And I know that this program went to the Final Four last year, and I know that might sound a little crazy. But I have covered Will Wade for a long time. I have known Will Wade for a long time. It's a what you see is what you get type deal. But this is somebody who will not flinch regardless of who's in front of him. This is somebody that is going into the triangle and is going to roll up his sleeves and completely try to distort everything that's going on at North Carolina and Duke. I would expect, if you're an NC State fan, to see major commitments out of the transfer portal. I would expect, if you're an NC State fan, to see the roster flipped in a way that will put the Wolfpack in the top 4 or 5 of the ACC next season. Remember, Will Wade was an assistant under Shaka Smart on the 2011 Final Four team at VCU, went to Chattanooga, went back to VCU as a head coach, is the only head coach at VCU to win an NCAA tournament game since Shaka Smart left, then went to LSU, got in a lot of trouble at LSU, but won the SEC at LSU, and then went to McNeese, and, you know, won 58 games in 2 years and won an NCAA tournament game for the first time in school history. Is Will Wade for everybody? No. Does he make enemies in the business? Absolutely. He'll step on somebody's throat to get a player. I know that. But if you're looking for somebody to distort the triangle, if you're looking at somebody who wants to get in the ring with John Shire and Hubert Davis, this is the guy that's going to do it. There has never been a more exciting time than right now for what's ahead in the next month or two for NC State fans. I know this program went to the Final Four a year ago, but there is going to be a major, major flip in Raleigh, North Carolina.
So if they have plenty of NIL money, then, you know, obviously he'll be able to acquire talent. I think top 4 or 5 in the ACC could be a tad ambitious. We'll get Friedlander's thoughts on this coming up in a little bit. The other thing, I do agree with what Rothstein with. Wade is going to definitely spice things up a little bit. He's like the non-Italian Jim Valvano. He is going to go toe-to-toe with John Shire. Going toe-to-toe with Hubert Davis may not be a fair fight for Hubie, if we're being frank. But anyway, that is the take on that. We've got baseball today. It's actually at 7:00. It'll be in Durham. Pirates taking on Duke. We'll talk more about that coming up in a little bit. I think we got Brett on standby, so why don't we go ahead and get a break in, Pilk? We also had Pro Day today. We'll have some of that audio for you coming up from the ECU perspective in a little bit. So a lot to get to here in the course of the show today. So stay tuned. Brett Friedlander next on the Patrick Johnson Show.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Are you ready to tackle those yard and garden projects? Come by East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, your local Coyote dealer, and check out their great selection of residential and commercial Coyote tractors. From zero-turn mowers to compact tractors to skid steer loaders, they've got you covered. Some with 0% financing for qualified buyers. Stop by your hometown Coyote dealer, East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, across from the Pitt County Fairgrounds or online at ectfleet.com. East Carolina Tractor and Fleet. We dig dirt.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Download the new IBX Media app now and get the show for your ears and eyes.
Doesn't it look great on me?
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Friedlander, Saturdays Down South, joining us here on the program this afternoon as we talk college basketball. Brett, favorite mascot the last few weeks? Which one?
Oh, I would have to say the Florida Gator. What's his
name? Really? Okay.
Can't remember what his name is. Anyway, but yeah, he was my favorite. He's big. He's iconic. And definitely got my photo with him. Got my photo with them all. So
yeah,
go Gator.
There you go. You and the Florida Gator. Good for
you. I will
you.
say,
Brett,
right. Now obviously you didn't. Well, you could have got this at the ACC tournament, but you couldn't get it at the NCAA tournament. I like the Leprechaun. I was at the ACC tournament one year, and the Notre Dame guy. I'm like sitting there like looking at something on my phone, and he puts his hat on me, takes the phone out of my hand, and like takes a selfie of us. The Leprechaun, I know that like mascots are not normally humans, but that one's up there for me. I know that's a kind of a hot take.
If you go to my Facebook page, I have a Brett's mascot, Brett's mascots page. I got them all, and I've got all the ACC ones from the last few years. So yeah, I've got them all, including the Stanford tree.
Oh my goodness, not the tree.
The tree was something. The tree looks like the trash heap from Fraggle Rock. Let me ask you this, Brett: we're good guys with live action mascots? I guess Ugga would apply as a live action mascot. The Texas Longhorn. Then you got
Ralphie.
the Leprechaun.
Ralphie.
I'm good with live action mascots. My favorites are the carpet remnants, but I'm good with all mascots.
What's the one that was frightening? Is it the Providence mascot that's really scary? Yeah.
Yeah. Don't look him straight in the eye. He'll steal your soul.
Okay.
He's on there.
Have you got a picture with the? Oh, you do. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. You had your eyes closed. I'm assuming.
Yep.
We were just talking about Will Wade. We played a clip from John Rothstein's, podcast where he was boldly proclaiming that they will be a top 4 or 5 team in the ACC next year under Will Wade. Maybe not next year. I think certainly they will. Of course, a lot of it depends on how much money they're willing to put into NIL at NC State. If we're being quite honest, that's really what it's going to come down to. So again, I think I don't know if we talked to you when this hire was sort of announced. Maybe no, we hadn't yet. So look, I think it's a fantastic hire. I'm actually surprised State had the gumption to do it, and I do think he's going to be successful there. I don't know if he'll be a top 4 team next year, but again, it all comes down to how much money they give him to go out and go shopping.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head, because they could resurrect John Wooden or Dean Smith, and it wouldn't make a difference if they don't put out the kind of financial commitment that it takes these days to bring in championship caliber players. Look at the 16 teams that are still playing in the NCAA tournament right now. And other than Duke, tell me if you saw anything of the quality of those teams in the ACC this year. And the answer is a resounding no. And so it's going to take players. Coaches help, but it's going to take players. And I think that Will Wade is a home run hire for NC State. I think that to get him, they had to make that kind of commitment, because everything I heard is that he didn't want to come if he wasn't going to be able to compete. Well, he came, so that says to me that they're going to write some checks. The other thing is all the things that he got into trouble for at LSU are now legal. So to be honest with you, he knew how to work NIL before NIL was a thing. So he should seriously, he should be able to do this well. And look at his team that he had, at McNeese this year that just boat raced Clemson for the first 30 minutes of the game. That team looked like it could have been a top 3 team in the ACC. So we're talking about, a league in which Pat Kelsey came in this year, took over a team that had won 12 games in the last 2 years combined, and finished as the number 2 seed. So it is possible to make that kind of jump right now, because other than Duke, there are no elite programs right now, and Clemson is losing basically everybody of note. So if he can come in and he can do what he does with the portal and with NIL, and given his history as a coach, an X's and O's guy, and his fiery temper, I think that a huge jump immediately is quite possible.
They made NC State a better hire than I think Miami did. I think Miami thinks it's going to take time. I mean, it's not a bad hire. I don't. Again, that comes down to NIL. The Florida State hire is a little puzzling to me. Again, I understand people like the pro style of things, but everybody's basing it on the Celtics, not the Kings. And the other thing that I think Virginia has made 2 really good hires. Ryan Odom is the coach, but they've also got Griff from Longwood to come over and be the general manager. And I think that's brilliant. So I look for Virginia, again, if the money's there, to be a real serious contender in the ACC again.
Pat, here's the thing about the Miami and the Florida State hires. You have to understand that football drives the bus financially. And those 2 programs, other than Clemson, are the 2 in the ACC that are most committed to being elite in football. And I think that most of their resources are going to that sport. And, they could have hired more high-profile coaches or more experienced coaches. But I think that they saved some money to put into football. They didn't want to take away from football by hiring big money coaches. And so they took a chance at Miami with a guy who is, I think, prepared to be a head coach, has the pedigree to be a very good coach, and could end up being a great hire in Jay Lucas. Then Florida State stayed in the family. I have questions about NBA guys who come to the to come to college. Hadn't always worked. In fact, it hasn't worked a lot. So we'll have to wait and see how that happens. But the one thing he does have going for him is he knows about Florida State. He knows the tradition, the culture, and he'll probably keep my friend Chuck Walsh on as a sports information director. So,
well,
so
there you
there's
go.
that. And the Ryan Odom hire
Yeah.
is really intriguing for more than just basketball reasons. But consider that Ryan Odom is the guy who coached UMBC when they knocked off Virginia to become the first 16 seed to beat a 1 seed. And now here he is coaching that team.
It's wild. Really is. So that is what's going on with the hires around the ACC. You were at Raleigh, as we noted, this weekend. So you've seen Duke a lot this year. I didn't get to see Duke this weekend because I was working. And but I got to listen to a couple of their. Well, I really didn't see anything Friday. I don't think it mattered. But
No.
I got to listen to the broadcast on Sunday after baseball. And what was really interesting to me was the point where Duke created its separation from Baylor.
12-0 at the end of the first half. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that they got those points in a variety of ways. And a lot of what Duke is doing now reminds me of those Krzyzewski 90s, maybe early 2000s. They could hit you with a run. And as much as scoring punches they have, it's defensively what they can do to you to create a run is what makes them unique.
Yeah, they have a rim protector in Kaman Malawak. They have just an aggressive, several different position kind of defender who should have been the ACC Defensive Player of the Year in Cooper Flagg. They have Sion James, who's an oversized. He's like built like a middle linebacker or a running back, who's a physical perimeter defender, in the backcourt, and they create turnovers and get fast break opportunities out of it. Listen, if Tyrese Proctor continues to make 6 of 8 3-pointers every game, there is zero chance they're going to lose to anybody in this tournament, and they're going to sweep this thing and win the whole championship. He doesn't have to do that for them to win the championship, though, because even if he's not shooting well, you got Con Knipple who can make those shots. You obviously, if Flagg needs to score 30, he'll score 30 rather than go for 19, 8, and 6 rebounds and fill the stat sheet. They also have guys like Patrick Ngongba, who's coming off the bench and giving them great minutes. It's incredible how versatile, how deep, and how just, like you said, how this team can beat you in so many different ways. I saw both Florida and I saw Duke in person this weekend, and I think that by far those are the 2 best teams in the country. I think those are the teams that are going to play on Monday night, the first Monday of April in San Antonio. And, boy, I'm looking forward to that game because it's going to be a war.
We are getting a lot of the narrative of Caleb Love, and he was the guy that beat Duke in the Final Four, Krzyzewski's last year. Well, this isn't that team. This is far from that team at Duke.
He also beat Duke and Cameron last year, if you remember.
They did, and this is not that team either. This is far from that team. But this is also a Duke team that went out to Arizona and took care of business in the desert earlier this season. So,
and it's a better Duke team than that right now.
Yeah. Can Caleb Love, is there anything to that he, he's obviously stared down Duke a couple of times. Can Arizona make things difficult for Duke, if not upset them?
No, I don't think so. It's a great narrative. It's kind of a fun thing leading up to it. But this Duke team just is way too deep. And then the other thing, too, is Caleb Love, you never know what you're going to get from him. He may score 28, but if you remember last year against Clemson in the Sweet 16, he went 0 for 9 from three-point range and really shot them out of that game. So he could just as easily, lose a game for his team than he, can to win. And even if he goes off, he doesn't have a lot of help. And Duke has just got so many weapons, just so many ways, like you said, that could beat you. I don't think that they have an answer for Cooper Flagg. I don't think that they have an answer for Knippel. And so, and again, try to get to the rim, and you got Malowak swiping it away. So I think that this is all up to Duke. If Duke doesn't throw out one of those 3 for 32 from three-point range, debacles, they're going to win this game, and they're going to win it going away.
I kind of like BYU on the other end of that bracket.
I do too.
I think their offense right now is humming along, and I think that as an Elite Eight game would be fun to watch from an offensive perspective. So look out for BYU on the other side of the bracket.
I agree. It's an incredibly underrated team that has just been good all season. Like you said, they are an offensive juggernaut. And while Alabama is a tournament-tested team, having getting to the Final Four last year, Mark Sears, one of the top players in the country, got that clutch gene. But, they've got some injury issues, and they struggled early against Robert Morris in their first game. And I think that they're ripe for the picking, yeah.
Florida and Arkansas or Texas Tech?
I believe it's I don't know. Texas Tech, maybe?
Okay. So Florida, Texas Tech.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because Florida's winning that game.
I know. I'm just, we're seeing this through to the Elite Eight.
Yeah. The thing about Florida. The thing about Florida is I think struggling against UConn was the best thing that could have happened to that team because it didn't come easy. They found ways to win. Their senior leaders, Walter Clayton Jr. was just great in the clutch, kind of put that team on its shoulders. And I think that they learned what it means to play in March and what it means to win in March. And I think they're going to be a better team moving forward because they had such a close call against UConn. And while Dan Hurley, didn't particularly care for the officiating, I think his team ran out of gas and just kind of ran into a better, more determined team down the stretch. And I think that if Florida does go to San Antonio and does ultimately cut down the nets, Todd Golden needs to send a little thank you to Dan Hurley because I think the UConn Huskies are the ones who tournament toughed them up to get them to do that.
Yeah. I think of the South and the Midwest, both the ones and twos advance to the Elite Eight. That's just I think we get chalk there. Beyond
I think we're
that,
going to get chalk pretty much the rest of the way, Pat.
Well, what's
just because I think the best teams are that much better than everybody else this year.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Brett Friedlander, Saturdays Down South, is with us here. There's a lot of teeth gnashing and hand wringing over the fact that look at this Sweet 16. For the first time ever, they're all from the P4 conferences, and there were no upsets. And is this truly NIL and to a degree the portal coming home to roost in this tournament, or is it just one of those years?
Well, I think it's one of those years, but I think that the NIL and the transfer portal have a lot to do with it. And I think there's also something else that's kind of contributed to it in the fact that the power conferences have expanded so wide now. They're so deep. I mean, BYU up until 2 years ago was in the Mountain West or the Western Athletic Conference or one of those. Houston, which is, the Big 12, they were in the American Athletic Conference until a couple of years ago. So, there are two programs that would be non-Power 5 programs as recently as 2022. And now they're P4 teams. So that's contributed to it as well. There just aren't as many non-Power 5 teams out there.
North Carolina, and what do you see ahead for them in the offseason?
Well, I think it's a very important offseason for Hubert and for that program and the direction that it's going to go. Hiring a general manager is huge. I think that, the whole we're not a transactional program that kind of led to the fact that this roster was constructed very poorly last year has got to go out the window. While tradition is wonderful, and the words North and Carolina on the front of the jersey still mean something, kids don't look up at the rafters and see all those banners and say, wow, Michael Jordan played here. It's not about that anymore. It's about what can you give me? How much can you get me? And what's in it for me? And I think that UNC has got to come to the realization that that is the first priority. And so if they spend the money wisely, they struck out a couple of times on the portal this year, but if they put the money into it and they get the right guys, that they can make a strong comeback. But that's got to happen. I mean, you look at a guy like JT Toppin at Texas Tech. I think Carolina could have had him, but they just didn't want to, spend the money to do it. And they didn't like the way he came in and said, well, here's where the negotiation starts. And, this is not your daddy's UNC. This is not 1990s college basketball. This is 2025, and you got to do things a different way.
Yeah, I mean, I do think to a degree culture is part of it, but you got to pay these guys. And that's, if you want to be
one, culture is number two.
Yeah, and UNC, I don't know. There to me, just to me, and I will eat these words, I'm sure, if I'm totally wrong in a year, but they're closer to UCLA, Indiana right now than they are any of these 16 teams. I mean, that includes the likes of BYU.
I think they're right now on that fence, and they could teeter either way. I think next year is going to be a very pivotal year in that respect. I think the first thing that Hubert and the new general manager need to do is that they need to go and they need to negotiate with Drake Powell, with Seth Trimble, and with Elliot Cadeau, and get them all back, and Vin Allen Lubin, and get those guys back, okay? And then they need to go out and fill in the blanks with a legitimate veteran big man, not just a stretch four, but a guy who's a low post present. They need to go get a wing guy who can shoot, and they need to go get a two guard. And so if they can get guys like that, I think that would be the start of a nice roster, including the incoming freshman that they have, including I can't remember the kid's name, but he's one of the top 10 signees in the country. So I think that they are not that far away if they do this offseason correctly. If they don't, then you're falling into the UCLA, Indiana mold there, I think.
Brett Friedlander with us here. As far as just, when you look back on this season, the ACC as a whole, should Jim Phillips, should there be, because, it's been a little bit of, and I understand the athletic year's not over, the academic year, but, basketball could have a national champion, but it's got really one team. That's been the standard bearer. Football got a couple into the playoff, but it was a little fluky with kind of how it went down and how it happened. And then, do we call it a victory? What happened with everything kind of being put on ice till 2030 or what have you? And what kind of, if you had to grade Jim Phillips, what would the grade be?
Well, I've been very critical of Jim Phillips in the past, but I have to tell you, the settlement, I think, improves his status and improves his grade considerably because, like you said, it bought them 5 years. And who knows what things are going to look like in 5 years. And who knows if Florida State and Clemson are going to say, hey, we're making a little bit more money. The gap is closed for us. We've got a better way of getting into the playoff in football than those guys in the SEC and Big Ten. So maybe we'll stay. So I'm going to give him high marks for that settlement because I think it saved the ACC for long enough where they can at least have some time to try to figure things out long term. And you know what? I don't think football was as bad as a lot of people are making it out. Yeah, they got two in, and yeah, the SMU thing was a little fluky. But if Miami doesn't lose that last game to Syracuse, they get two teams in legitimately. And so, I think football is not as bad as basketball. And to be honest with you, Pat, I think what happened this year in basketball may be the best thing that could happen to the ACC. Because if those three teams that, were legitimate NCAA tournament teams, if they would have all gotten to the second week, and Jim Phillips and all the ACC folks would be able to say, as they always do, hey, look, we underperformed during the regular season, but look, we are a legitimate league because we make up for it in March. They can't say that this year. And I think that it's sort of like you injure your knee, but you decide to play through it, and you're just not the same, right? You need surgery. Well, I think that the failures of this year's ACC and the fact that they only have one team in the Final Four now, or not in the Sweet 16, says that you can't put a Band-Aid on this now. You need to do some surgery. You need to really make some legitimate, some big time changes, because otherwise you're headed in the direction of the Mountain West or the AAC. And I think that the hires that have been made is a very good step forward. It's a good first step. I mean, last year you bring in Pat Kelsey and you bring in Kyle Smith at Stanford, who, by the way, I think is really going to build a good program there because he did at Washington State. Now you bring in Will Wade, you bring in Ryan Odom. Jay Lucas maybe, is a guy who can bring Miami back quickly. And so you're building back up the coaching ranks where, there was a significant drop off when all the Hall of Famers left. You also may have changes at Boston College and Syracuse coming up in a year or two. And by the way, if you listen to some of the rumors out there, I would not be shocked if Steve Forbes decides it's time to move on to another job here in the next couple of weeks or days or hours.
Wow. Okay.
And so you're upgrading the coaching ranks, and now you have to upgrade the financial commitment and bring in the players that it takes to have those coaches have success. So I think that this was a good thing this year. It was so bad that it became a wake-up call that everybody around the ACC, from the administration on down to athletic directors and fan bases, realize that something has got to change, and something significant has got to change.
A lot of problems at Wake, don't they?
It's the smallest D1 college, among the power conferences. And, while they do have some good benefactors, Ben Sutton, Mitch Shaw, their war chest is just going to be significantly less than everybody else's. They're going to be playing on a different playing field. Their facilities are great, but unfortunately, there are things that they can't control that they are always going to be playing catch up, and they're going to have to deal with it, or they're going to have to, reevaluate where they stand in the college athletic food chain.
All right. Hey, Brett, nice to talk to you again. Really appreciate it. I'm sure we'll catch up at some point down the road, whenever. So, but awesome to talk to you. Enjoy having you on, and love the work that you do. Thanks a lot, my friend.
Hey, anytime for you, Pat. Thanks.
All right, there he goes, the great Brett Friedlander, Saturdays Down South. All right, we're going to hear from some of the Pirate players on Pro Day. We'll have that audio coming up in just a bit. Right now, we have Philip the Ref Pilkington, a pro in his own right, with a 94.3 The Game Sports Update and Pirate Report. Pilk.
Thank you, P-Man. Starting in Pirate Athletics, Jan Farrell has entered the transfer portal. He appeared in 32 of East Carolina's 33 games this season. He also started 3 games and averaged 5.1 points per game. Softball is ongoing right now against Elon. Remember, they will be at home tomorrow at 6 o'clock against Duke. P-Man will be on the call on ESPN Plus, and that game. Oh, sorry, P-Man, I can't hear you. What's up?
I won't be. I'm not assigned to that one.
Oh, I apologize. You were originally. They changed it up on us. Either way, you can make it out to the max for free admission all season long. Baseball will be in action tonight against the Blue Devils. That has been moved back to a 7 o'clock first pitch. It will be a 6:45 airtime right here on 94.3 The Game with Dylan Johnson and Coach O. Bad news for USC as star sophomore Juju Watkins has torn her ACL. She will miss the remainder of the season. She was the Big Ten Player of the Year. The Trojans play their Sweet 16 matchup on Saturday night when they take on Kansas State. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. We're going to take our second time out here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Be back to recap ECU Football Pro Day.
Hey, it's Jim Wells again with Wells Roofing and Gutters here in the beautiful community of Lindale, Bedford. At Wells Roofing and Gutters, we believe in quality first, and that's why we use CertainTeed shingles, which are manufactured in Oxford, North Carolina, a local company. In the event you ever do have a claim or a problem with your roof system, they're local and they come and take care of us in a timely manner. We could leave off some accessories and we could certainly save money, but we believe at Wells Roofing and Gutters in installing the correct way per manufacturer requirements, and we warranty your roof both in-house and also with our supplier, who is CertainTeed. For a job well done, no shortcuts taken, and a good quality job on your home, give us a call today, 252-227-8403. We also offer financing, 12 months, no interest, no payments.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Sometimes you just don't know if you want to kiss him or slap him.
Ow!
Either way, he'd probably like it. The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
So, Pilk, there were over 700 kids in the portal yesterday. That more than doubled the record, maybe even more than tripled the record from last year on day one. You know, last year, I think it was under 200 2 years ago. It's maybe 400, 300 or 400, and then over 700 yesterday, over 400 a year ago. Samaj Steele is one who's gotten into the portal. Played at Farmville Central. He's looking for his fourth school. He's got an extra year because of the COVID thing.
That's what I was going to ask. That's what I was about to say. It's crazy because I thought the COVID thing, this would have finally, won't the COVID kids have finally aged out? Aren't we graduating 2 classes? Shouldn't there be less guys in the portal? Or do we have one more year of COVID kids still?
Who knows? Here's the other part of that. The 700 plus represents 14% of Division I rosters entered the portal yesterday. Yeah.
So one out of every
1 out of every 7.
7, yeah.
About 2 guys per team. got in. We had Pro Day talk to a couple of the Pirates who are most notable. This is what Savon Revel had to say, what it means to be with his Pirate teammates on Pro Day.
It means a lot. I feel like it means a lot to them coming out here to support the players and also supporting and repping ECU, not only for the players but also for the whole staff, for the whole community as the fans, and just showing that I can be loyal in any position, any situation. So, I mean, I feel like it's part of the game, part of the process. Just be out here supporting the players because I feel like it pushes them to be better, it pushes them to be their best. Because also I'm not offering them, but I'm giving them like access to other coaches coming out here and giving them the ability to show their talent. So I feel like it's a great experience, man, for these boys. It's been out here to support them.
He also talked about his top 30 visits.
I've done 2. I got a lot more to go. I'm not really overthinking about it. Just taking it step by step and going along with the process, because at the end of the day, I still feel like I got to prove myself. No matter how many 30 visits I got, that don't mean that make me the best player in the country, maybe the best player in the professional leagues. I feel like I still ain't got there yet. It's still like a level I have to reach. I mean, it's a different chapter in your life, man, and you got to start off good. And I feel like it starts here.
He was asked if he cared about which round he was drafted in.
It's definitely out of my control, but at the end of the day, I feel like no matter what round you go, if you're a dog, you're a dog. If you can play, you can play. If you got that heart to go out there and be a dog and give the coaches 110% effort every single day, then I feel like you can win at any time. I don't really pay attention to the mock draft because, like I said, you gotta prove to the coaches. I mean, mock draft, that's just people predictions and opinions of what they think you might be or where they think you might go. So I don't want to overthink things. I just want to take it day by day and just continue to do what I've been doing, working hard, rehab, training, and just doing the best I can.
I get the mock draft thing, Pilk, and I understand what he's saying there. I tell you, it matters, though, where you're drafted because of the bank account. And
That's
the
true.
stability and that kind of thing. So that's who cares. The bank account cares where you get drafted, which round you get drafted.
It does. For that first contract.
I get the answer where he's coming from.
I respect it. It was humble. It was good.
Yeah. You were going to say, I'm sorry. I wrote.
No, I was just going to say it does matter. You're right, but it only matters for that first contract. Regardless of whether you're drafted number 1 or you're Brock Purdy, you gotta go out there and prove it for that second deal. And that second deal, that's where the big bucks come in. But you're right.
I understand that, but you have a better chance of getting that second deal.
You do, but I think 28th pick as opposed to 33rd pick, probably not as much.
I get what you're saying. But
yeah, now day 2 to day 3, that's a big difference. Yeah. That's a huge difference. But I say day 1 to day 2, or at least day 1 to early day 2, not as much.
It's not as let's see here. Savon Revel on his recovery.
I'm on track right now. I got a bunch of visits right now, so just trying to stay on track, get with my PT and my trainers, just trying to figure out a lot of things and trying to find a routine. So I feel like I'm on track. I'm on the road right now. I'm running. I'm squatting heavy weight, so I feel like I'm on track.
Talks about he wants to be with his family on draft night.
I made my decision right away. It was just like my family always been there since I was a kid. It was there since I was. It's nothing against nobody that's there at the draft, that will be there at the draft. It's just like I want my family to feel or have the experience of what it's kind of like to be in this position. And they've been there my whole life, and they watched me my whole life. So, man, just being my family mean a lot to me. So for them to be there and just witness like they son, their grandson, their nephew, they finna be their uncle, finna be one of the probably the best top cornerbacks in the league or play in the league in general. So I feel like it's pretty exciting, man.
Good for him. Good kid. Let's hear from Rajay Harris now. Says he's blessed to have his family in attendance.
I feel great, man. I got to give all the glory to God, man, and my family and friends, man, just come out to support me. Drove 5 hours, man, and just come support me. I feel great. I just got to give all the glory to God, man.
Rajay on the opportunity to live out his dream.
Well, man, it's great, man. I remember throwing the ball in the backyard by myself, man, and just coming out here living my dream, man. It's definitely great, man. Just seeing all these teams come out here, man, just to, give us a shot, man. That's all I need is a shot. I just need a pink in the door, man. And they came out. Hopefully I did what I did to give me a shot, man. Like I said, man, give God the glory.
Talked about some inspirational moments from his childhood.
Yeah, man, watching my dad. My dad was a 4-2 guy up there at Spartan High, man. So I always knew that I had it in my genes. I just knew I had to go out there and do it, man. God already had the story written. I just had to go out there and perform, which I think I did. So give him the glory.
And last thing here, Rajay, on his thoughts on his preparation for Pro Day today.
My vertical and my 40. They wanted to see my 40, see how fast I was, which I think I did a pretty good job at running my 40. I don't know the times, but I really think I did a great job in my 40, man.
You know, Pilk, I hope he gets a shot. You know, I don't know where he would be exactly. I mean, I think he'd be a later in the draft guy or a free agent guy. But, I mean, again, you just kind of, as you said, get that shot. You could go from there. Is there anybody else outside of Revel that seems a surefire going to get drafted in your mind? Probably
I don't think so. Nah.
Yeah.
There might be a couple guys maybe that could sneak in to the back rounds. The tough thing is, like, a lot of these guys, there's a lot of talent that doesn't have size. Like, as much as we call him Big Tay really ain't that big. You know, and then you got some of these offensive linemen that I think have talent and size, but, like, Hampton's not that quick. And, like, you know, nowadays you got to be able to pull. You got to be able to get out there in the receiver screen game as a lineman. So I'm worried about, like, his speed. So it's like we were kind of talking about it, you know, me and Igo and some of the other media members. It was just like there's not a lot of guys who have speed, size, and talent. A lot of them got talent and one of the other two. And that's going to worry me a little bit. But at the end of the day, if you can get in a camp and you can prove that you can be a team guy, learn the playbook, and find a way just to get on the field once, you know,
right.
The eye in the sky never lies. The film grade matters more than these tests. I understand why they do the tests, but let's not get caught up in a bunch of numbers. Because at the end of the day, you got to perform on the field. And kind of the same thing with Rajay. I don't think he's getting drafted, but most teams will take 6 or 7 tailbacks to camp. And, you know, Rajay loves to block. You got a few guys, a lot of guys who come out of the college ranks, man. They get NFL, man. I remember when Chuba Hubbard got to the Panthers. I hated Chuba Hubbard. He couldn't block. He couldn't block on a – I remember we got a punt blocked against the Dolphins because he stepped the wrong way on a punt. How do you step the wrong way on a freaking punt? But anyways, that's besides the point. He was drafted by Scott Fitterer, who was there today. It was kind of weird. Chandler walked up to me. He's like, yo, is that Scott Fitterer, former Panthers GM? I was like, yeah, man, he ruined our team. But that's besides the point.
So who is Fitterer working for now?
The Redskin Commanders.
Okay.
He's
in
pretty
their
up in the scouting department, yeah. But with Rajay, man, he like I said, if you can get out there, you can ball out at camp. Running back is a injury-prone position. Somebody is going to get hurt, and somebody's going to get called up from a practice squad, and they might get 4 or 5 touches. But if you can make those 4 or 5 touches worth it in a game, you can become the guy. So all he's got to do is find his way onto a practice squad. Not that you're preying on anybody's injury, but they happen. It's football.
You got to be ready. You got to take advantage of the opportunity. Were you going out? Did you almost go after Fitterer?
I mean, go after him? No, that sounds a little aggressive. But you know, would I have minded? You know, would I wish that I had a DJ Moore Panthers jersey to be like, look what you let go, and all these dumb draft picks you made trading up for Matt Corral. You're a moron. Yeah, I might have wanted to do that.
I forgot about that. The thing with what's his name was such a bizarre deal. I forgot about the Matt Corral thing.
Yeah.
Wow. What's been going on there in Charlotte, Pilk?
Yeah.
So we're getting to the time of year where we're going to start talking about that again.
We are. And we're going to let Zoki talk about that because Zoki works for the team, so he has to keep a level head. I'm going to say something I regret. He can't say something he's going to regret. So we're going to let Zoki do the talking, and we are going to mute my mic and mute T-Bone's mic because T-Bone will go on a rant too.
Well, I prefer the rant.
I know, but I
prefer the honesty in the rants. You're not going to get in trouble. All right, come back. Wrap up the show. Got something kind of interesting to tell you about. We'll do that when we come back.
Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available. Call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
If you are interested in living longer and living stronger, Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine is accepting new patients for a limited time. Finding a caring physician can be a challenge. Dr. Billy Smith is board certified in physical medicine and lifestyle medicine and has been practicing in the area for many years. Call for an appointment now to Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine, 252-364-1108 in Greenville. That number again is 252-364-1108.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
And now, the stunning conclusion of the show. It's the P-Man here on 94.3 The Game.
By the way, Pilk, the Panthers are raising ticket prices. I just saw that.
I think we've already paid for a season ticket. They announced the middle of last season they were going to raise them for this upcoming year for season ticket holders.
I don't know if single games are on sale and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. I was about to say, if it's season ticket holders, hope my mom's not listening because she's on vacation right now. I don't want to ruin her vacation because she loses her mind every time they raise tickets. She hadn't won a damn playoff game in 10 years.
There's a group of state senators who have filed a bill proposing a study to explore a professional wrestling museum in North Carolina. Senate Bill 404 entitled An Act to Remember Iconic Combatants Through Fostering Learning Awareness and Interest in Wrestling. I love it. It's also known as the Ric Flair Act, after the Charlotte native regarded as the greatest pro wrestler of all time. The Flair Act seeks $500,000 from the general fund of the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources to study the feasibility of establishing a pro wrestling museum in North Carolina. If the bill becomes law, the department is scheduled to report its findings and recommendations to the Joint Legislative Oversight Committee on Agriculture and Natural and Economic Resources on July 1st, 2026. The bill's sponsors are seeking to make the Ric Flair Act effective July 1st.
Man, I wish you would have seen intern Brandon's face light up when you said Pro Wrestling Museum in North Carolina. He lit up.
Probably loved it.
He loves wrestling.
I think it's great. I don't know.
I think it is too.
Where do you put it, mate? You put it in Raleigh, you put it in Charlotte, Greensboro. Greensboro's
I like
great.
Greensboro.
The Coliseum is like Madison.
Yeah.
Is like the Madison Square Garden of the South for pro wrestling.
It is. I mean, when you look at some of the old WWF stuff that was so southeast located, I mean, not that Raleigh wasn't big, not that Charlotte wasn't big. I mean, I'll be okay with Raleigh too. I mean, it'll probably end up being Charlotte, but we need a little more attractions, I think, in Greensboro. It's right in the middle. It's kind of halfway between the two-ish, right? It's right there on, 40's there, 85's there. I think it's easiest to get to, really, from everywhere.
Where Ric Flair and the boys plied their trade for decades. The historic Greensboro Coliseum Starcade for the NWA and the WCW and Crockett. So, we already tested.
I started that a minute early. Good call. Good catch. My bad.
I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
I thought we had a couple more minutes.
We do. I don't know.
I like
Long
that
day.
Okay. That's all right. I like that as a bipartisan effort, too.
Hey, look at this. We could agree on things. Who knew?
Yes.
In 2025, baby. Let's go.
Come together. The Ric Flair Act. Woo! I love it. Let's do it. A Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. I'm all for it. Did you ever run it? Did you ever come across Flair in Charlotte?
I never did. I think he was kind of out of there by the time, I was growing up. But I do remember one night after a work softball game, my dad and his buddies telling stories of not just Flair, but just coming across the random, well, they weren't random, they were big name guys at the time, back in the 80s when it was in its heyday of being in North Carolina. You would go to a match and then you would just go to the bar after, and the guys would just be there and they would hang out with you. It was just totally normal. It'd be like hanging out with Cookie after one of his wrestling events.
Flair likes to hang out in the bars, apparently. All right, big thanks to Brett Friedlander for being with us today. Thanks to intern Brandon. Thanks to Pilk. See you in the morning on Talk of the Town, and then back here tomorrow for the Patrick Johnson Show. Pirate Baseball. Don't forget, 6:45 airtime, and it comes on tonight at 7 o'clock as the Pirates take on Duke from Durham.
Oh, Patrick, I do have one thing while we got 20 seconds left. Ric Flair, I did see him at a Hornets game one time. His girlfriend was younger than Bill Belichick's girlfriend. Just throwing that out there. So I saw him at a Hornets game.
Good for him.